All right, friends, welcome back. We are going to continue on with this exciting journey through my presentation called Dinosaurs and Man. And this one's going to be part 74. Part 74. And in this one here, we're going to kind of conclude with the Japanese Carcass and the whole idea of Plesiosaur sightings that have been made in the past. And so these are two real popular incidents, and I just thought we would go through them, and I could show you the evidence, at least what I have found at the current time of this, at the recording of this video. And so I'm just trying to be fair, and showing what's here, what's not here, and try to give some type of insight for my Christian friends out there that may be hit with some of this stuff, and that you can already have a background and know what to say, and have some type of knowledge of the information that's been made available. And so it just seems like, even in my own Bible studies, that if I don't have enough information to answer, whether it be somebody with an honest question or just a critic trying to be debative. If I don't have an answer, I'll just say I don't know. I'll have to wait until further knowledge. And so, and that's not a bad thing to say. If you don't know, just say you don't know. As simple as that. There's nothing wrong with it. It seems like the more I study the Bible, the more I want to say that. It seemed like when I first started studying the Bible, I was being all cocky and stuff like that. It just seems like we always have an answer for for every little question. And I will say this, to kind of rabbit trail a little bit, but on the same thought, when I'm a retired deputy sheriff, and that when I first got into law enforcement as a rookie, it just seems like we're all gung-ho, and I saw that. And it seemed like the years that you go on, the less and less gung-ho that you are. And so you realize that there's always somebody bigger, badder, and faster than you, and that you don't always have an answer, for everything. And so towards the end of my my years, right before I retired, I was to the end, guys, where if I could avoid a confrontation, I did. And that I always told people, if I don't have an answer for their question, we'll find out together. And so I always liked that. That was my mode of training even new officers and stuff like that. And so it's okay. Not everybody needs to be arrested. You can have discernment. And so and the new officers that even I've met in recent years, I meet those cocky ones. That are just waiting for you to say the wrong thing. And they've got a lot to learn, unfortunately. But same thing in the creation circles and stuff like that. It seems the more and more that I have through the years have gotten involved in biblical studies, the more humble I am, and knowing that I am so unworthy to have such a task, even that you see me doing now. And but at any rate, guys, let's go ahead and let's get started with this. If you'll notice on the screen, these are some Japanese Carcass notes. We're going to try to finish this up. The covering of strong dermal fibers, as in mammals. Now, I will say this. They have called this creature, this possible plesiosaur type animal, a mammal. Now, I always referred to them as reptiles. I don't know. I'll leave that for the biologist. And so, if that is the case, maybe there's something about this animal that we don't know. Maybe they've classified it wrong, because for the most part, all they found in the past is just bones. And so, but it says the fat-like tissues, fat-like sticky substance, fat is not found in fish. And so that's pretty much what's covering most of this animal from what they've seen. And so what's been reported, the red muscles not possessed by fish. And so if you'll notice on the screen here, this is the color photograph of that, and you can see the red tissue, the red muscle tissue there, and that's what they're talking about. It says it has been pointed out Against this being a plesiosaur, the rotting, unrecognizable carcass lacked the white body that supported powerful muscles to move the flippers, and its vertebrate lacked the spines expected in a reptile. Even proteins and fibers pointed away from a large plesiosaur and towards a huge fish. Now, if you'll notice on this right here is a basking shark. Look at the very bottom of the picture there. That is a basking shark. And it says, now over to the left is what they say is a rotting basking shark. All right, this is the information that I got on this. It says, this was a basking shark, and there's the scientific word for it in taxonomy. Now, it says, the second largest fish after the whale shark, it has long been known that their vascular gill tissue rots quickly after death, so the gills and the lower jaw fall off. The result looks superficially like a long, thin neck with a small head. The tail fin also has no skeletal support, so also rots and falls off, leaving the appearance of a thin tail. And so that right there to the left is a basking shark that has rotted away, and that's what you see there. So if you look at the very top there, it looks like it has a long neck and then a little small head. And then if you go at the bottom, it looks like it just has a tail that's coming. And what they're saying is because of those parts of the body that rots off quickly, it gives this appearance here. And so that's what they're saying. Now, these are some notes in favor of a plesiosaur type of unknown mammalian animal. An argument for the carcass being a shark, a basking shark, was that the muscle of squalid sharks appear as red as tuna meat along the sides of the backbone. Most favor this carcass as being that of a basking shark, but basking sharks are not squalid sharks. It goes on. And notice in the yellow here, the smell was a mammal, not the strong ammonia smell of putrefying fish and sharks. And so that right there gives them more of the side of a mammal other than just a fish. The head was hard, unlike that of a fish. The nares, or nose holes, were on the front of the skull, not like sharks. The presence of four flippers, four large limbs with what appeared to be bones, when Yano stepped on them, he did not cut them open. Yano removed 42 horny fibers from the edge of the flippers and washed them in an antiseptic solution of sodium hypochlorite. When analyzed, the amino acid composition was found to be almost identical to that for elastidin that had been obtained from the fresh fin of a basking shark. That elastidin is not found in mammals, has been hailed by creationists and evolutionists alike as being definitive evidence that the carcass was a basking shark. However, no chemical substances have thus far provided to be truly diagnostic for the classification of the higher taxa of vertebrates. In spite of the modern biologist and paleontologist's eager desire to utilize chemical characteristics as clues to investigate animal phylogeny, as to the amino acid composition and discussion, we have been informed that comparative studies of some groups of animals show the existence of many amino acids common to all groups dealt with. It says other governments directed their fishing ships in the area to spot where the find of the century had been thrown overboard. What had happened is because of this rotting carcass, they was afraid that they were going to spoil their catch, their fish. And so they didn't want it to contaminate it, so they threw it overboard. And so, I wish there was a way they could have kept it and without having to spoil it. I guess they weren't expecting to have such a find. But it goes on to say, an estimated 20 Japanese, 8 South Korean, and 30 Russian ships participated. Reportedly, the Russian crew members were told that if they found the monster but could not stand its smell, they, not the monster, must go overboard. And so neither the monster nor any of its kind were found. And so this is that stamp that they made in recognition of what they supposedly had found. And so this is the Japanese postage stamp in 1977 showing a plesiosaur. And so celebrated 100 years of scientific discoveries. The greatest discovery of 1977 was that of an apparent plesiosaur. And so, and here you go, guys. Plesiosaur or basking shark. Plesiosaur or basking shark. What do you think? What do you think it could be? And so, I can kind of see the arguments on both sides, but I will say this: the carcass over to the left does still show some type of flipper appendages hanging off of it. And so whether this other one on to the right, it's not showing anything like that. You can kind of see like a rib cage towards the top of it. It does seem to be a bit different here, though I can see what it's saying as far as the head and the neck. The head and the neck, I can see what they're saying in that area. And so, what do I think? I have no clue. Just like I've stated before, it's okay to say you don't know. And so I think until they actually show an actual body or present the body of an actual plesiosaur, stuff like this is always going to be questionable and is always going to have those for and those against. But I'll say this, like I've said in the past, in the book of Genesis, God was after, it says, all those whose nostrils were the breath of life. And it says, of all that was in the dry land died. Of all that was in the dry land died. And so, even though that whales breathed oxygen, there were whales that survived the flood. And so, just like plesiosaurs, they would have to breathe oxygen. And so they survived. They could have survived very easily. And so, I just think it would be amazing, to actually be able to find one of these creatures. Though I have stated in the past, I do not believe that would cause a worldwide revival. Now, for those of you that want to learn more, the Japanese carcass, this is a little booklet, a little small booklet, a plesiosaur type mammal, a review of the evidence. This is where I got some of my information from, if you guys want to get a hold of that. And I actually got my copy from Vance Nelson. Vance Nelson, he was the one that wrote a series of books, Untold Secrets of Planet Earth. And that's where I got mine at. If you might want to get up with him and his awesome ministry, you guys might be able to get you one of these and have it in your library. I have one in my library, and I got to admit, it is some amazing, intriguing evidence. And so another book, Shipwrecks and Sea Monsters of California's Central Coast, for those of you that just want to read about shipwrecks and some of the weird animals that has been spotted or seen or supposedly seen. This is where we talked about the Santa Cruz serpent, or Moore's Beach monster. And so that one right there is a great book to get. And so you guys can learn about more there. At any rate, we'll stop right there. When we come back, we're going to be talking about rare and endangered animals, or animals that are no longer in existence anymore, or supposedly not in existence anymore. And so we're going to tackle that topic and kind of relate it to dinosaurs and man. And so, but at any rate, I hope you guys have a great day. I love you. I hope the Lord blesses you real good. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.